What's up, Zox fam? Now, there's a lot going on with Wuthering Waves right now, and it's just the entire fiasco as far as changes being made to the game, and this is all relevant to leaks, which, again, I am going to give that disclaimer, guys, that if you see anything, take it with a grain of salt because it is subject to change. But I do want to hone back into the CBT review that the developers themselves had took from us, the player base, as far as feedback that honestly is determining a lot of these things that you're starting to see to shift. Now, of course, with that, we're also going to be going through some of the comments on some of my last videos because I think these are really important and I wanted to address some of them just because I do get where some of you guys are coming from, but I also think that, again, we're trying to keep that hype going and there's a lot of narratives that are being created that aren't necessarily true. So we're going to go ahead and get into it, right? Now, the first thing here is the closed beta test review, right? Now, this was all, like I said, feedback that they took from that beta and what they received as far as information. So we're going to skip around, right? The first thing here, and it's the one thing that a lot of people are complaining about, is storyline. So they literally said, we have received a lot of feedback on the storyline during the CBT. Future improvements will focus on the storyline, included but not limited to rewrite the storylines for some of the main missions and side quests, adjust the personalities of some characters. So what does that mean, right? So these two things they already told us. This isn't a leak, guys. They told us exactly what they were going to be doing. So this is literally saying, hey, obviously there was something about the story that wasn't enjoyable, that maybe wasn't giving enough life to the characters. And when you're looking at the adjustment of the personalities, or maybe wasn't even coincided with the story enough, or like I said, it just wasn't allowing the individual or the player that was experiencing it to really gravitate to the game and feel like they're connected. Because that's how you're going to keep players playing long term. Because this is going to be the difference between, like, people bring up Punishing Gray Raven, which I absolutely love Punishing Gray Raven. But I think that the goal with what they're trying to do with Wuthering Waves is going to be a lot more similar to what Genshin Impact has done as far as trying to keep a player playing their game, but maybe not as excessive as how Genshin does it, because I don't feel like they really are emphasizing you have to watch all this filler or you have to sit through all this story component. They actually allow you to get through that stuff fairly quickly and get more into the actual gameplay or combat aspect. But for those that enjoy story, you'll be able to actually partake in it. And these are extremely important components, because here's the other thing, guys. You have to understand that not everybody plays these games for the same reason. So for me, I'm like, hey, I want some great combat, but I also, don't mind a little bit of story. There's some people that's looking at this game in its entirety and they're just like, hey, I know the combat's great, but I really, really love story, right? So again, that is definitely going to be one of the big things here. Now, they say that in the first two lines. Now they go to add English voice lines and improve dubbing quality, and then optimize cutscene presentation. It's just overall making the game look better. So that's the idea as far as what they were going to be trying to already tackle in the first couple of lines, right? So that's why it's kind of interesting to see that people are complaining that they have gone and they have changed certain things. And it's just like, well, I mean, what did you expect? This is the feedback they got. So they're listening in all actuality to players. And I feel like the people that are complaining, I don't know, like it's like one of those questions to be asked, like, were you a part of the people that were actually being productive and giving that constructive feedback? Because again, like I said, a lot of us that played the first CBT, we gave a lot of feedback and they took that feedback, and again, refining the game has been one of the biggest things that they've been trying to do, from what at least I've caught and seen, right? Now, they go to also say localization. Now, this is another important thing that they want to focus on, right? And obviously this is a thing. So this is going to be for the Wuthering Waves on global, right? We're taking the steps to improve the quality of text translations, voice lines, interactive content. In addition, more languages will be supported. So again, they're thinking about the full spectrum of having more players coming into the game. And so that again is another huge and really important component, right? Now, the next thing, and this is the part that's actually kind of funny to me, is game art. So we will be improving multiple aspects of the game's art and designs according to your feedback. Again, let me read that again. We will be improving multiple aspects of the game's art and design according to your feedback, including, but not excluding, character design environment design, UI design issues, and more. And so one of the things that we've had circulating is character design. Oh my God, characters no longer look the same. They don't. Dude, listen. Right here. I don't know what else to tell you, man. It says it right here, okay? Including character design. So again, guys, it's like the fact that there's literally people that are upset about this. These are the things that they had got as feedback. So when they go and they make changes and then people are upset about those changes, you have to then ask this question. Was it warranted that they needed that feedback then? Because obviously there was something that was not being presented that was causing a disconnect, which led to them having or feeling the need to agree with the player to say, hey, we're going to change it. Now, I think the other thing is that when we're also looking at the fact that this game has been in a beta state this entire time, the game is going to evolve. I would love to see character UI, character designs, environment designs, things of that nature getting more clean, more crisp, them adding more personality to the characters so that, again, the characters have more appeal for when you're going and pulling in the gacha. Like, I think about all the time, like, why exactly would you pull for a character? Sometimes it might be how, like, I remember in, like, Honkai Star Rail, I pull for Dan Heng because of how he pops up in the storyline and he turns into a god, gets speared in the chest, and dude just transforms and goes sick on everybody, And so that, for me, was an appealing aspect. But if they had decided that, hey, we're just gonna make up some character that just randomly comes in, there's no contextual connection to how he pops in, I don't know if I really would have been as into pulling for him outside of maybe okay, yeah, his design is cool. But even then, if he just was like the base Dan Heng with horns, I don't know if I would have even been as appealed to wanting to pull that character. So they gave him a little bit more pizzazz, a whole different outfit, long extended horns. And then you get the context and the lore behind him, right? So that's a huge component to why I feel like, again, I am for all these changes. And if I'm being honest, if we're even looking at the predecessor game, PGR, Kiro doesn't miss, man. And some people are gonna say, I've seen oh, some of the characters are looking like dude, it's their last game. I mean, it's kind of like with Honkai, they have plenty of characters that look like other characters from their other games. That's just kind of what happens in-house when you're using the same artists, or you're using, same references, or UI similar designs and stuff like that, or I would even say models. That's kind of what happens, and it becomes a unique staple point of that game. So that when you see those types of characters, that's a Kuro character, right? Just like when you see a Hoyo character, whether it's Honkai Star Rail, whether it's Zenless Zone, whether it's Genshin Impact, you can tell, right? And I mean, even going all the way back to Honkai Impact, you can tell, right? So that, again, very, very huge thing. Then they go further. They want to change the performance. So that's another thing. That's more so about the actual operating aspect on your computer or mobile device, right? That's just that. But then they even go to say, hey, gameplay. We want to add and continue polishing existing content, new gameplays for you to enjoy. And so they want to improve the combat experience, provide a richer ecosystem for more possibilities, so gearing, rework the beginner tutorials, and optimize the module systems. So all these things, guys, and my entire thing with this is that Kiro has actually been very transparent with everything that they're doing. And so they even go to say your valuable feedback will always be greatly appreciated. Transparency and open communication are our top priorities, and we will take every piece of your feedback seriously. Now, the other thing is too, is with the lack of official news that we've been getting, it's not like they haven't been posting stuff as far as different character updates and personality things relevant to those characters. I feel like as far as the gameplay, I'm trusting in the fact that I believe that Kuro is trying to actually cook up what they really want 100% before they release anything. Because again, we've seen games get absolutely demolished because they just along the way were releasing way too much information, and us as the players just didn't know what to do with that, and we started doom posting and the game's dead already. And I mean, people are even doing that now. So I could only imagine if Kuro was coming out officially and saying certain things or allowing certain things to be a certain way, it'd be oh my God, it'd be terrible. Now, again, like I said, like on my last video, right? I want to get into some of the comments that you guys had. So Cyber Misty said, I see users all over Facebook saying when the game's officially releasing or waiting waves. So that's actually kind of funny. But asking why you're taking so long. Well, as you can see on how much Cheshire changed from the technical test to now, they actually listen. So if anyone played the CBT or released another and anyone here joins in, please say something, because if there's something we don't like, it needs fixing before release. And so I actually am going to agree with certain parts of what Cyber Mystic is saying, is that if they do decide to do a CBT2, that obviously is going to be the opportunity for change, right? But the other thing that's also worth considering too is that, like I said, I would rather Kiro take time to cook up a game than just releasing garbage, because I think that that's kind of the issue, is that we become so impatient that by time we get something, we can lose hype, right? And that is going to probably be the case for some people. But I also believe that when you know what a company is capable of doing and what they've been able to present, you're not going to try to rush the process just because you really want to make sure you're enjoying it the first time, right? When games have to, double and triple and quadruple do-over things, that can be much worse and kill off the player base. You can go from having say 500 million people playing your game, and you lose 2/3 of that just because you didn't want to take the time to properly cook your game and make sure that it was good for the players coming out right off the rip, right? Now, the other thing is here is that when it comes down to like I said, just the waiting aspect, we're just gonna have to deal with that. I mean, I don't know what else to really say about that. I would love to see the game come out sooner. Like if it came out this year, that would be great. But I don't feel like there's gonna be any game that's gonna come out and just knock Wuthering Waves out, because if it's a great game, people are going to play it because it's a great game, right? Like that's just is what it is. Like the other thing is too, and I want to kind of touch on the monetization aspect just a little bit, because I know some people are going to be like talking about that with the gacha and stuff like that. Just simply put, for me, in my opinion, after all the gachas I've played, and even watching how Kiro treats Punishing Gray Raven, they need to make good money. I think they deserve it, actually. I feel like for what they have done over the years and how they've been able to keep that community going, they have a system set up basically to where a player is able to obtain the new, S rank. What is it called? They're not battle suits, but construct. They're able to obtain the S rank construct for free to play every single time a new one comes out. Like that is insanity, right? Now, is that system going to work in this game? I don't think so. And the thing that I have to be aware of is they have a game and a product where they already have tested a specific monetization system. So them going into a more open world, more expansive, a more expensive game, okay? I'm always for the players, right? I always want to see players get the benefit, but we have to be realistic to the fact that if the company doesn't make money, then we don't have a game to play. So if they're cutting profits in any way, and it's not a win-win situation for all of us, right? For players and for the company, it's just not going to work. If anything is too one-sided, which I would even argue has kind of sort of been the case with PGR, right? It doesn't push as much incentive for Wells to spend. But if it's also too one-sided to the company, it's going to then decline or decrease the amount of time or the number of players coming in new that wants to play. So we have to find the middle ground there. And that I always feel like is a work in progress when we're talking about gacha, right? And the best thing that can happen is that we have it to where we're able to get something every couple of months, like, whatever, if you build up enough currency or if you play enough to where you're able to summon for the characters. I mean, hey, you guys do it on Honkai Star Rail, so I don't see why not in Wuthering Waves, to be honest. Now, another person goes to say, I wonder if they're going to change the gacha system to something a bit more generous like PGR. Again, answering the question I was just saying. Or Genshin, because they said something about revising the gacha system used in CBT1. So the Wuthering Waves environment is brighter now, like TOF and Genshin. Now, Kramer goes to say the gacha are better than Genshin, but not PGR, which I do agree with. Now, the thing is that when we're looking at this, right? And we're talking about like comparing Genshin to what I guess apparently what Wuthering Waves is supposed to be doing. We don't know 100% what our functionalities or systems are going to be completely when it's finalized. We obviously had the Echo system, we had the module system, we had a lot of different functionalities that we were taking advantage of. I even would say like with the Echo system, like that was like extra equipment in a sense, right? That you were able to farm and add up to, building up your character. So the fact that you were able to kind of like farm that with no real parameter, that already kind of changed things and made it a little bit different than how I felt when I was playing Genshin Impact. So as far as like the weapons and things of that nature, it just all depends on what they plan on setting in place for free-to-play players to experience or to have when they first start out. Now, I will say that Kuro does a really good job at giving free-to-play players things that allow them to be able to beat the game. So I feel like the freebie characters and things of that nature that they're going to be handing out are probably going to be really, really good. And I think that one of the lessons that I learned from playing Genshin Impact going into, I would say, Wuthering Waves, is that we need to play the game and really honestly truly learn the game first before we start creating a narrative that there needs to be all this spending or wailing on characters. Because for all we know, a base copy of a character could actually be really good. And let's look at, like, for example, year one Genshin Impact all the way to what now, right? And how has it drastically changed? It went from, oh my God, if you don't have a C6, you're garbage, to wow, Benny is amazing. Like that is kind of like what has happened and shifted over time. And a lot of people had a lot of regret with jumping right in, thinking that they needed to spend money. And I would even say people that killed the game off for themselves, not realizing that that wasn't even the case. And that was because of the fact that there was content and different things and narratives that were being presented that were making players feel like that was. So that for me is why I'm so like heavily like against this, like, oh, let's just go off of the information that's just being shared when it's not even officially, I would say, signed off or finalized info, right? So that's kind of the thing here. But that's enough of my ranting, man. Again, like I said, guys, we just gotta wait until we get more info that's officially coming from Wuthering Waves' mouth so that we really honestly can, know from there what needs to be given as input. Because like I said, there's a lot of info, a lot of things circulating as far as leaks and things of that nature. And I feel like a part of what I want to do is just, again, keeping people on the rail and the hype train for making sure that we understand that these things, again, are things that a lot of people actually have asked for. So I think that, like what was said, was that if another CBT comes along, we have to then reassess, right? That's another opportunity for you guys to give back feedback, and then you get to try the game out if that ends up being the case. I'm hoping that we do get a CBT2, because then that'd be really good for, like I said, that feedback. But then I would hope that after CBT2, we would actually be working towards a official release at that point. Again, guys, Kiro got the approval for them to be able to release the game at some point. So I don't think it's going to be as long as we possibly think it's going to be. Again, though, I'm always intrigued to know what you guys think about this matter, because it's just kind of, like I said, it's just really interesting to see how things are happening and just how crazy it's getting. But I personally, for one, am glad that they're making changes and they're trying to do something versus doing absolutely nothing and thinking that just because the graphics of the game look good, they're just going to make money. So that's basically that, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you guys in the next one.